I remember last year you're covering recruiting in December, and also you cover the transfer portal, which I'm not sure how you did all that every day for 24 hours, but you did it. And here we are again. We've entered that transfer portal phase. I believe it opens up officially December 4th. We're seeing players now jumping into the portal, including Chris Tyree. Interestingly enough, an Irish wide receiver has jumped in. So as you look at this football team, and my gosh, Mike, as you laid out, a lot of things are still probably going to change with the roster over the next week or so, even. As you start to lay out what you think the transfer portal needs are for this football team, what stands out to you?
Yeah, this is silly season, so there's always the chance of things to occur that Notre Dame is not expecting, guys to leave or whatnot, maybe even guys who want to stay that they thought would leave. That is very much on the table. So I always like to kind of put out, that piece of context. But obviously quarterback, and there's buzz that Riley Leonard, the Duke signal caller, who has not even entered the portal, that he could be the guy for Notre Dame. There are other SEC programs who would like to land Leonard, so we'll see on that. But at least as of right now, Leonard's a name to know. And actually on blueandgold.com Monday, I wrote about a couple of other names in a message board post. I also put in that post that, hey, I wrote that, hey, I think there's going to be a coaching staff change just because this is college football, but that I was hearing that a good bit of Notre Dame. So like the expectation was, and some people I talked to, is that the staff's going to stay together. Obviously that changed in the matter of hours. But I actually do think that the staff is going to stay mostly intact, which will be interesting, but obviously will remain to be seen. But going back to your question, Darren, quarterback, obviously, receiver with parentheses S at the end, potential 2. I think Notre Dame ends up with 2 receivers. And then if Joe Alt and Blake Fisher both leave, which I would guess is more likely to happen than not, I think Notre Dame goes and gets a transfer portal offensive tackle. It's a pretty loaded tackle, just overall offensive line room, but specifically with tackles with young guys, and even Tosh Baker, who's been around seemingly forever, signing with Notre Dame in the 2020 class. You have a good mix of this young talent and an experienced guy with Baker, but I still think Notre Dame goes to the portal and gets a tackle if Fisher and Alt do leave. And then on the defensive line, I think Notre Dame's probably going to add some there. They're just losing a lot of bodies, and they'll probably go get another player there. But I think in the defensive backfield, they're pretty set. I think they're in a good spot at the linebackers with the young guys they have, and assuming that all the the Kaiser, Bertrand, Leofau trio that's been here forever, I would guess that they're probably on their way out. They've just, again, played so much football, and I would guess that they're going to go elsewhere. We'll see there. But, I mean, yeah, I think Notre Dame's probably good at tight end. They're good at running back, even with Estime out. And I think that covers every position. So, again, quarterback, receiver, potentially 2, offensive tackle, and then, various defensive line spot, or maybe even spots, Darren.
Let me ask a follow-up at wide receiver, if you don't mind. You said wide receiver, then you said in parentheses, maybe you put an S in there as well. Are you looking for insurance pieces? Are you going to settle for that? Are you really wanting the impact guy? And if you don't get them, are you as interested in those insurance policies?
A lot of people on the Blue and Gold message board have kind of been like talking about they really wanted a quarterback transfer for depth, really just to add a body to the room. I mean, sure, but you want to go get the best one. Like, I'm not going to get some D2 guy just for the sake of bringing in a D2 guy. Go get the best one you can to improve the room. So I would say that with quarterback, and I'd say that receiver too. I mean,
Okay.
I think Notre Dame's in a best available mode. You don't need a clone of Jordan Faison, for example. But if that's the best guy out there and he wants to come to Notre Dame, then go get him. So, yeah, that's kind of my stance on that. I would like to think that Notre Dame would probably agree with me, but who knows?
Who knows? That's right. All right, so we're about a month away from National Signing Day. Still weird to talk about that in December, despite the fact we've been doing this for a few years now. Your best guess, are you expecting good or bad news on National Signing Day, or is it going to be one of those you're just going to kick your feet up, have a nice coffee and just kind of cruise through the day.
Well, it's never the latter, as much as I wish it would be with those 20-hour work days. But as of now, the focus is really on the portal, Darren. The With everything you're talking to me about in this interview, it's but silly season, it's like the context as things stand right now, it's going to be quiet or should be quiet. But again, with coaching changes elsewhere, potential more coaching changes at Notre Dame, who knows? It could open the door for more things to happen. But as things currently stand, I think things are Notre Dame's commits are solid. Don't expect anyone to leave and don't expect anyone coming in. Some of the flips that Notre Dame was working on late in the process, here with tight end Carter Nelson, who's committed to Nebraska, defensive lineman Bondi Ugboko, who is committed to Georgia. Those guys look to be sticking with their programs. Even Justin Scott, Ohio State, Caleb Beasley in Tennessee. Some guys we had talked about in the past. Those guys are looking like they're going to stay solid with their schools. So it might be a kind of a quiet finish down the stretch for at least high school recruiting, but remains to be seen if silly season impacts that. Focus more so on the transfer portal right now, according to sources.
Okay, Mike, let's wrap things up with the holidays right around the corner. I think Irish fans, for themselves or for a family member or a friend, a pretty good way to go for that maybe last second gift is a subscription to blueandgold.com.
Yeah, how about our special offer right now for your radio audience and my YouTube audience is $1 for your first 2 months of access at blueandgold.com using the code UND1, so the letter U, ND1. Would love to have everyone over at blueandgold.com. I mean, this is always a great time to sign up with, the transfer portal and the coaching carousel and, recruiting. To kind of get up to speed on everything that's going on. I mean, our staff at Blue and Gold writes so much content. I mean, all of the news, all of the reaction, the analysis, where things stand. I'm very proud of the staff that we have here at Blue and Gold to cover everything. So please do check out the website, blueandgold.com.
Mike, thank you so much for the time and your great analysis as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Darren.